What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge NFL Kickoff Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook, born in Vegas. Will Brinson, Sia Nejad, and Danny Brasco. And I am laughing because as I was about to, as like the countdown started going in, I remembered that last night while we were playing Nintendo, my son looked at me and he goes, "What's up, everybody?" And I could hear him. He did the exact same imitation in the other room as soon as I started going. It's, I don't know, it's pretty funny. And actually, it was the funniest thing. I moved it to the number one funniest thing he's ever said is when he mocked my introduction to a podcast. Anyway, how you doing? What's going on? I haven't won much today.
Let's turn that around. I think I don't want to spoil anything, but we're gonna have some symmetry here on the show. Ooh. Hopefully we all cash riding the bus together, but I think we got some good looks here. It's been a wild Sunday so far. We were just talking about a pre-show. The Panthers almost had the Chiefs there. That would have been hilarious when the NFL keeps on being the wild league it is. So I don't know. Sia, how you been doing on the day? Any cashes?
Some good news. You see it in the chat from Kylie Reynolds, Michael G, and some others. We had Cortland Sutton over 58.5 receiving yards, and I just didn't understand that line at all.
Yeah.
I probably should have told people to ladder this one, but that was my favorite bet of the week. I put out some video content on actually this morning saying that was my favorite play of the week. The only other prop I had this week was Bucky Irving. Only other prop on SportsLine was Bucky Irving over 52.5 rushing yards. And he did all that in one clip on a 56-yard run. He was headed to crush the prop anyway. This guy is so legit. I mean, he's doing it in the receiving game and in the rushing game. So we're 2-0, and hopefully I've got one official play. But I'll say this. You mentioned it, Danny. We're on a lot of the, we have one play that we really like in this game. And I think most of the people that are subscribers to SportsLine know what that play is. But I will say this. I have a lot of props that we're leaning on. Brinson, you have your parlay. I have my same game parlay, which mine isn't very fun. Honestly, it's like plus 250. But it does give you some insight as to where I like some people in the prop market. So in spite of the fact that we only have so many plays officially, we've got a lot of leans, too, that we can talk about on this show.
Yeah, tons to give out. I had the right idea in DFS today. I had a Tua triple stack that I moved off of. Tyreek was the problem there, but I played Waddle, which I 4% owned. And just I bought into the chalk running backs and got bitten for it. I should have listened to you and gone Bucky Irving. Nevertheless,
yeah, I got bit on Tyrone Tracy earlier. Just a bad game script for him. Tommy Cutlets was not it. We always kind of knew that. But just to tout little Sia, the ladder man himself, recommended a little Anthony Richardson rushing ladder in a negative game script. Actually helped him climb a couple rungs of that. So hopefully we can end the day on another good note. Maybe we got another ladder action. I'm always interested in Sia's wide receiver 3 to the ceiling plays.
I love it. I love it. We got a good one tonight. Eagles at the Rams. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, -3 in this game with a total of 49. I would think it might not be as bad as it was in Charlotte, but I would guess that this crowd is pretty green in Los Angeles tonight. It's just the downside of being a newer team, even though they won a Super Bowl. If there's there's a lot of Eagles fans in LA, and they don't get a chance to see their team very often. They're going to show up. They're going to show out. So, that maybe factors in a little bit. Like the Rams' home field advantage it's better than the Chargers, but it can be a bit, non-existent at times.
As a New Yorker, I'll just chime in and say, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I'll put my fists up. LA is a fake sports town.
Ooh, fair enough. I don't think anybody from LA likes to fight, do they? They're like,
That's what I'm saying too. So sorry, chat, any Los Angelinos in here, but I'm gonna stand on my New Yorkness there.
If you have questions about the game in terms of like the spread, total, etc., put them in the chat. If you have player prop questions or want us to ask, or want us to, we'll go through. We'll put them in the chat. We'll rip through them once we get to that segment. No model stuff tonight, so we can probably go pretty quick. Danny mentioned it. Sia, what are we on tonight?
Well, we listen, it's not fun, right? I mean, anytime you're on an under, the thing about this game, Danny's like, no, that is fun. Like, that's
it's pretty fun when it's the late third quarter and there's 12 points. Like, that's then it under's fun.
Okay. Well, so anybody who had the Washington Dallas under thought that too, and then there was like a million points scored in the fourth quarter, which is why, and I can't wait for Danny to talk about this. One of my plays was going to be the first half under. I just went with the total under here because what I'm anticipating here, especially with the lack of Devontae Smith on the Eagles side, I mean, whether he was playing or not, what you see from the Eagles a lot, especially this time of year. Now the conditions are pristine, of course, but you see them running a lot of clock because it's so hard to stop the run and the pass game. And you see sometimes 7-8 minute drives that, yes, end in a touchdown a lot, but also end in a field goal. So I'm anticipating a little bit of that, but we have to give credit not only to the Eagles defense, but we have to recognize that the Rams defense is not the trash defense that a lot of us thought they were going to be going into the season. They're at home. They get an Eagles team that is without one of their weapons in Devontae Smith. And I think it's like probably a top 15 defense in the league right now, which is crazy. I mean, I'm ballparking it, right? I mean, we could have arguments top 20. Some might say, hey, right now they're playing like a top 12, top 10 defense. Either way, I think both defenses are great. The Eagles defense obviously has been playing well for quite some time now. So this just seems like too many points, especially when you're probably going to get ball control a little bit on both sides of the ball.
The Eagles, since their week 5 bye, have 3 games over 225 total rushing yards and 1 game under 150 total rushing yards. So like they're running the crap out of the ball. NFL Elo or NFElo.app.com has their rush ratio at 50%, the highest in the NFL. I believe that they are the next lowest pass rate over expectation, ahead of only the Packers, or behind only the Packers, I guess. Ahead, behind. I don't know how that works. But to get the point. Yeah, I mean, they're going to run the ball a ton. And when you think about this Matthew Stafford passing attack, like Stafford can throw the ball down the field. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's got the best arm in football, I think. But like, he's going to dink and dunk to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and it's not going to be as explosive. Sean McVay loves to run the football. You know, this is a team, they're 60% pass, but I mean, that's about average in the NFL these days. I mean, these are 2 teams that are going to, like, I don't think the Rams are going to try and like drop back and bomb, because especially early, and especially if they get any kind of a lead, they're going to run the football a ton. I just think you're going to see the clock moving pretty consistently, and that's why I like the under. I mean, you can, we saw what, 30, I mean, you can still get plenty of points scored. You get 48 points, I mean, that's 27-21.
Yeah,
is perfectly reasonable, and still hit the under and still have an entertaining, high scoring game without going over the total. I also think that the Rams tend to like if they get down, I don't feel like they're gonna like run a bunch of like up tempo. I don't know. Like I just don't foresee them like cranking the pass volume way up unless they're really trailing. So yeah, under for me. And Danny, you're double dipping.
You know it, guys. We're back here on Sunday night. And a lot of these, as of recent, I would say, haven't gone our way with, like Sia described, the Commanders-Cowboys style game going over hilariously in the dying seconds of that game, or not even just exploding with, touchbacks, or kickoff return touchdowns. And that has happened on Monday and Thursday night. On Sunday night, the under is 8-3. So Sunday night unders continue to be very profitable for us. And I'm going to continue back in my guys, Will Brinson and Sia Nejad on the under. I love that they're on it. If you guys ever played Mario Party, speaking of Nintendo earlier, Brinson, Mario Party 2, niche reference coming here, right? You're all over the board. We're all trying to get the star, anyone that's played it. You can get to the milk guy and invite everyone to get milk, and they all have to come to your spot. And all of a sudden, everyone's in the same place on the board. That's what I feel like we are right now, guys. Just a squad on the under. But let me actually give you analysis on it and not just kumbaya stuff. Look at the Eagles since their week 6 bye. This is the best pass defense in the NFL. Everyone was talking about Vic Fangio. And it took a little while for the system to kind of gel and get used to it. But once it did, they've really, by far and away shown they're one of the best defenses in the league. Since the week 6 bye, they've held wide receiver ones to very, very low numbers. Terry McLaurin, 10 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 21 yards. Brian Thomas, 22. Jamar Chase, only 54. Malik Neighbors, 40. These guys are really, really struggling against them. So Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, they've played, out of their minds in their rookie year. And I was really looking to take the Eagles -2.5 here. It was so appealing to me considering how much of a roll they're on. But doesn't it just feel so sketchy? It feels like a weird spot where it's these young DBs that are playing crazy good right now against the veteran Stafford, who Brinson just said thinks he has the best arm in the NFL, right? With the stud wide receiver duo. It feels like it can neutralize itself out, perhaps, right? I think that maybe that regresses a bit on the Eagles side, and the Rams could have success. But ultimately, I don't think either of these offenses are really going to get going. Brinson talked about the run-heavy style. The Eagles actually have the most rush attempts in the first half out of any team per game. And the first half under, Sia alluded to as well, like we've been losing a lot of these on the back end of it. But the first half under for the Eagles is 8-2 this season, 7-3 for the Rams. And they just play at that slow kind of pace, that stalematey beginning of the game. So I think the Eagles secondary is going to continue to do well, but I don't know if they completely neutralize the Rams. I'm expecting a competitive game. So for that reason, I stayed away from sort of an obvious feeling Eagles spot. And instead, I'm going to double dip on the under for two teams that play slow and that I can think match up well against each other here. So give me the first half under 23.5 and the full game. 24 is clearly a key number. Brinson talked about 49, right? And 48 is the key number for the full game total. So I like getting just above that, right? 49 equals 7 touchdowns, but really 48 is the more important number. Just below that at 23.5 is a little sketchy and almost wants to push you off of that first half under, but I'm going to take the plus money anyway. I don't think we get that field goal to get us over there. So I like it anyway. It's not going to scare me off. Give me the first half under, give me the full game.
I wasn't watching because the game is out of hand, but if you had the Raiders plus the points, ouch.
Oh, I had Broncos -5.5. Tell me the end, Brinson.
Desmond Ridder passed short left to Trey Tucker for 11 yards touchdown. The replay official reviewed the runner, broke the play ruling. It was reversed. Desmond Ridder sacked with 16 seconds left for -8 yards from the 1 yard line. I had the Raiders in my pool, and I was like 1 point out of first, but oh well.
Seahawks +1.5 too. Let's go, guys.
Yeah. I don't see a ton of questions about the game itself. I don't see any questions about the game itself.
I also failed to mention the Rams' defensive line. Their pressure rate is insane. I believe they're top 10 all of a sudden in pressure rate. Something I want to talk about for like success if everyone's just going to back Hurts or back the Eagles. Of course, Devontae Smith is out, so you can focus on A.J. Brown now. But Jalen Hurts under pressure, 25th in yards per attempt. Under a clean pocket, 2nd in the NFL. So if Jared Verse and Braden Fisk can get there, we got our under, in the bag, I think. It's just going to be a matter of if the Eagles' O-line holds up. But if Hurts is struggling under pressure, we got our unders.
Yeah. I'll say this. Some of that analysis leads me to, in the beginning of the week, I liked the Eagles quite a bit, -3. I'm starting to really like the +3. And again, this is not an official play, but I got to tell you, there were a couple things that I almost made official plays. I'll just give the 2 out that I was, obviously, I'm on the under of 49 for the full game. I was going to take Puka Nacua over 70.5 receiving yards. And I understand how good allegedly this defense is, this secondary is. These
still
young guys
rookie
are.
Cornerbacks against like 2 really good.
Well, so it's Puka Nacua who has such a defined target share. It's basically him and Cooper Kupp and everybody else. But I think more importantly, it's Sean McVay. He's going to find a way to get Puka Nacua open. And what do we know about Matt Stafford? We know that even when Puka Nacua is not open, he throws to him. So I think 70.5 is a very reasonable number. I like the over there. And the other one was the +3 on the Rams.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are on the Eagles. It feels a little like, and especially like, I know that this isn't how it works, but like after today, you just see the Cowboys go into Washington and win outright. What a wild game that was. Sorry, Sia. Chiefs 10-point favorites, off that loss against the Bills, against a bad Panthers team. And it just feels like some of these road favorites may be getting a little too much love in an overcorrection where you get, a lot of dogs that are extremely live. Let's look at our inactives if we have them. I don't think there's anything. Devontae Smith, we knew. Rob, I haven't seen. I think we knew as well. So nothing like particularly crazy unless I'm missing anything, which leads us to our player props. Sia, you mentioned the Puka Nacua over. I'm on the Cooper Kupp receptions over. 6.5 -120. I mean, don't have to worry about yards. Cooper's going to get 7. He's going to get like 7 to 10 catches. And I don't think the script really matters particularly for that. I just like he's going to get peppered. He and Puka are just going to get peppered. Like the Rams are extremely concentrated in their skill position and personnel usage. You know, we've seen a little bit more Blake Corum, but like Kyron Williams is the guy. And Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are the guys. Now, DeMarcus Robinson can eat up a little bit. Tight ends like Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen, not so much. I just think, you know, in a game where we think the Eagles will be able to maybe slow down the run a little bit, I would expect Cooper Kupp to be heavily involved in a lot of short catches. So over on Cooper Kupp. And also, I hate doing this, you know, shout out to, I think Kins might do this, or maybe, I guess technically Buckets is the interception guy, but Matthew Stafford over half an interception. It's minus 135. It's juicy. You mentioned it, Sia. He's going to throw the ball into tight windows. Yeah. And Matthew Stafford, people kill Matthew Stafford for his picks. I mean, who cares? Like, he has picks because he is an aggressive thrower with a great arm who believes he can make every pass out there. And I think he'll be pressured a little bit, have to move. I think that cashes fairly easily. So Stafford over a half interception and Cooper Kupp over 6.5 receptions for me. What about you, Danny?
Well, first I got to say, you got to tell Katie Mox that you're on the Stafford interception.
Katie Mox, I know. I should. I don't know why I didn't immediately mention Katie Mox. She is always on Matthew Stafford over interceptions.
That is her favorite bet of all time as a 49ers fan. And she cashes it often. So hopefully, you will too. I think that if I were to look at a prop, and I couldn't get there because he went 0 for 0 for 0 last week, so not going to inspire too much confidence. But Davis Allen did emerge in this Rams offense a couple weeks prior, and he kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Overpassed Colby Parkinson, if that's the term we're looking for. Parkinson did have one reception for 19 yards and a touchdown last week. So, okay, all of a sudden TE1, but there really is no TE1. And Davis Allen has outsnapped him. So if you want to take a lower receiving prop, obviously you're going to look at Kupp, Nacua, maybe Robinson, other stars on the Rams. But Davis Allen might only need one or two to get there. And I love Weed is in the comments. He's liking it as well. Plus 135 on the receptions too. I think he may have a chance to get involved. But like I said, 0 for 0 for 0. I didn't put my money on it.
Way under half. Way under. 1.5 showers. Why would I shower? Maybe it's Sunday, man. What am I showering on a Sunday? What do you think I'm wearing a hat? Also, I have like really long hair right now, so it's like impossible. Yeah,
you gotta let it short and then do like an emo riff, like a Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, my hair is like insanely.
Oh, nice Fall Out Boy reference.
Yeah, my hair is like when my hair is long, like I'm just more likely to wear a hat just because it's like, you know, it is what it is. I showered. Leave me alone.
Brinson, I'm also surprised you're not on Jalen Hurts anytime. It's a cash machine. You're not on it again.
I know. I looked at it. It was minus 130. So it's like gotten priced up. But yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. Somebody. Sia, what are yours? We'll get to the question somebody asked me.
Yeah. So no official props. We'll talk about some of the ones I lean toward when we talk about my parlay and when we answer some questions. But yeah, again, Puka Nacua over 70.5 receiving yards. I do like that. And I'm looking at the passing attempts prop for Matt Stafford. I do expect him to have to sling it. It's interesting. The passing attempts is 35.5. The completion's 23.5. I would lean to maybe the under on the completions. 23.5 is a really high number. Now, I do think they'll probably be able to run the ball somewhat successfully. The Eagles' run defense is good, not necessarily as good as their pass defense. 23.5 is a pretty high number. I expect him to get to 21, 22, not necessarily to 24. So I do like the under in the pass completions department.
Okay.
There was one more actually that caught my eye, and it was the Maestro, Larry Hartstein's on it. It was Saquon Barkley over receiving yards. Just a classic angle there. Good pressure rate defense, offensive line that has had their quarterback under pressure. Jalen Hurts has been one of the most pressured quarterbacks actually this season. You got to dump it off and check down. Athletic guy like Saquon, no Devontae Smith. Might need to share the ball around a little more. I like Larry's angle on that, so I might actually tail that.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's rip through the ones in the chat. Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown? Sure. I would prefer Puka Nacua anytime touchdown. I think like Kupp can get there, and we'll talk about first touchdown scores. There's definitely some value in the Rams, guys. It just feels like Puka more like here's the issue. Puka more likely to score a touchdown outside of the 10-yard line. Cooper Kupp is probably going to have to score around the goal line if he is going to score. It's just sort of the nature of how the Rams operate with their offense. And once they get down there, they're going to try and get it to Kyron Williams first and foremost, and then so it's a little bit thinner, I think. Cup anytime touchdown. I prefer the Puka anytime touchdown personally.
Mm-hmm.
Best way to arb for alt lines. Got a lot riding on AJ Brown 80 yards.
Well, I mean his number is right around that, right? It's just above that. So wouldn't your play to be just take his under?
Yeah.
In terms of
I don't have BetMGM. I have to open it on my phone, but I do have another shot.
Oh, so he's at like he's really gone up. So I think
he's 89 and a half.
Yeah.
Take the under and look for a window.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea of what happens with some of these lines, I'm pretty sure this was 81 and a half earlier in the week. On Friday, I looked at it. It was 84 and a half. I suspected it could go up even more, but 89 and a half is pretty absurd. That's a lot.
I mean, I would say this, like, well, and that numbers movement is directly correlated to Devontae Smith's status at practice throughout the week, right? Like he doesn't practice on Thursday, bumps up to 84 and a half.
Yeah.
He's ruled out, it bumps up to 89 and a half. I mean, I think what I would do, let's say you are trying to win $1,000. Presumably this is in a parlay of some sort, right? Because otherwise you just like hammered the over on 80 yards and you're in good shape. And even then you could take the under at 89 and a half if you want it for less, just to create a window and to give yourself an out so you don't lose any. But I mean, more likely it's a parlay. So I would probably, I would be fine letting it ride. I think what you could consider is, and this is the beauty of like legalized sports betting, is live betting his number. Well, no, because then I guess if he starts out slow, it's going to come down too far to take the under. I'm trying to think of like what maybe you could just hedge out for your original stake. You know, if you got like a 10-1 or 15, whatever it is, hedge out for your original stake on the under. And if he finishes with 88 yards or 81 yards, you're loving it. You double dip. It really depends on what does this money, what does this money mean? Like, will you not be able to pay rent if AJ Brown doesn't get 80 yards, et cetera, et cetera? I think that, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Sorry, go ahead, Sia.
No, I mean, we don't need to spend any more time on this than we already have, but I'll say this. A lot of times I like to find a live position because I don't necessarily know what I want to do. And the game script and what AJ Brown does in the first quarter and the first 2 or 3 drives tells me maybe a lot more information than I have right now. And it gives me an opportunity to hedge the bet with a little bit more information and 3 quarters to go. That's really what I was trying to say. And you said it better.
And I was going to just add to your kind of last sentiment that a hedge is ultimately what you personal financial decision. Do you want to get your stake back that you originally placed? Do you want to try to profit the most amount? Do you want to, limit your losses? What is your financial goal there? Only you can answer that and how much you want to win. And that'll be your hedge scenario, based on how much you actually want to play on that other side. And really, we'll move on. But like, if you want to get greedy, if AJ Brown gets 30 yards in the first quarter, you can take his live under if you think the Eagles might run away with it. And then you'll have a massive window that you can hit both of them in there. Yeah. That's the one thing I would worry about is if they get a big lead, do they pull away, stop throwing the football? Sia, Eagles field goal over 1.5. You like it?
Why do I get the field goal?
I don't know,
questions? But I never give out field goal.
I was thrilled that you were attached to this one because I don't want to answer.
Elliott's been a little off lately, right? So, I mean, listen, the conditions are great. Kylie, anytime, and this goes for everybody, anytime you're going to give us a bet, if you don't give us the juice, I don't have enough information for you because I haven't actually looked into the field goal props. I'm assuming this is a pretty big minus number. I don't know. I'm just guessing minus 130, minus 140, but that's really important. I do expect him to get 2 field goals though, to answer your question. 115, not too bad. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a good enough price. I don't bet these traditionally, but I do lean to the over here.
Jeff Stimberg, chat stalwart, says Cup 100 plus is plus 325. Might call Oppenheimer to liquidate my IRA to throw down on this. This is the easiest way to turn 1 retirement into 3. That's just math. Amazing, so we'll slop rules. Some John Hyslop. That's just math, man. I like Cup to get to 100, but I prefer the receptions. Barkley TD, sure.
We got on that though. That's going to be heavy.
The only thing we've talked about this for the last few weeks, and we've had a bunch of Eagles games, I guess, because I keep mentioning Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Like they're just tush pushing down at the goal line, so you're going to need Saquon to score from somewhere not right around the goal line.
Minus 190, by the way, on that heavy juice.
Oh yeah, there you go. So yeah, probably more of a parlay piece. I know it's a wild one, but Barkley under 96.5 rushing. I don't love
mad at it. Like we're talking about AJ Brown getting all the way up to 90 yards. You know, when you even a premier player, when you get that high, it's just so much has to go right. So I think I would lean towards unders when it gets near 100 yards, right? Anything goes wrong and they won't hit it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You heard me. I love Kupp over 6.5 receptions. I think you mentioned the under completions, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, this is such a tall order at 23.5. Like, again, the reason I like the under is because I think we'll see some like methodical drives from the Rams, but I particularly think we're going to see that from the Eagles. And I do think this is going to be a relatively close game. So you're not necessarily going to get, and this could change, right? But you're not necessarily going to get what you see when a team is trailing by 10 or 14 points in the fourth quarter and you're just like allowing everything underneath. Take that away from this game because I don't think it's going to happen. I think 23.5 is too high.
Stafford interception all day. I'm on. Kylie Reynolds says, I'm on it too. Golder, 60 receiving yards. We're taking forever. Who's Golder? Brown?
That's not a person. That's
Golder.
a typo.
I was
but
like,
I can't
Golden
think. Oh,
Gate?
Goddard.
Shout out
Goddard. Yeah.
There you go. Goddard.
Goddard. Yeah, Goddard's hard to type. Goddard. I mean, it is like it'll autocorrect. Goddard, 60 receiving yards. Barkley, 20 receiving yards. Robinson, 30 receiving yards. Hurts, anytime touchdown. Barkley, anytime touchdown. Over 1.5 field goals. And Stafford over half an interception.
120-1.
And
I mean,
wait, and the Los Angeles Eagles money line. LA Eagles M. I couldn't make out the end.
This looks like one of my parlays. So sure, I like it. 120-1. I love it. Davis Allen, we talked about that. Yeah, I don't mind Davis Allen.
Don't put too much on it because he may disappear. He may be a ghost, or he may catch three passes. But
three is asking a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the field all day. He was on the field all day last week, and he didn't catch a pass. So I mean, I think 1 or 2 makes sense. 3,
Kupp and Puka just gobble up the target share. And again, like the Eagles secondary has been awesome. Those young cornerbacks are coming along great, but they're rookie cornerbacks, and they're going up against like 2 of the shiftiest receivers in all of football. This isn't guarding, like straight line speed, which is hard to do in and of itself. This is guarding like Kupp and Puka Nacua, who just work like crazy underneath and get open. And a Rams team, by the way, pretty desperate for this win at home, like 5-5. And the division is right there. Niners lose and Seahawks beat the Cardinals. Hurts 200 passing yards and Stafford 200 passing yards plus 110. Yeah, Hurts is the one I'm worried about.
Yeah, exactly. Especially without Devontae Smith, I don't think I would take that personally. I'd want to know. I'm going to look at what Hurts completions prop is because I'd be more interested in that. I think we're going to see a lot of that check down stuff to Saquon, but also to Dallas Goedert and to get that completion total up. But it's probably pretty high. His completion total is 18.5, juiced slightly to the over.
That is low.
It's very low. But it's
wow.
also the Eagles. I do like it, though, because I think regardless of the game script, he could get there. Trailing game script, he certainly could get there. Neutral or positive game script, I still think he could get there, but I don't love it.
And Hurts has actually struggled in road primetime games. He's 2-5 against the spread. So at home in Philly, he's done a lot better, but they failed to cover the spread by a large margin in those games. So I worry that his play will drop off on the road a little bit. That's why I couldn't quite get to the Eagles.
Yeah, this is sounding like Rams +3, guys. Yeah. I'm just telling you, that's what it's sounding
money
like.
line, baby.
For me, this game puts me between a rock and a hard place. I'm rooting for both teams because the 2 biggest positions I have on the 24 season, excuse me, I'm tripping over my words tonight, guys, are Eagles to win the division and the Rams to make the playoffs. I have huge bets on those. A win here either way sets me up in a good spot. We were just talking about the NFC West. I mean, everyone's 5-5 or 4-6 in that one right now. Absolutely wild. So, I'm happy at either side, but it is feeling like a sneaky Rams spot with the world.
Yeah.
I think 80% of the bets right now on the Eagles. It just feels weird.
Stafford, like nuclear game last week too. Like he might just come out and just ball out. Jalen Hurts under 9.5 rushing attempts. I can't sign off on that because I don't think it'll be a blowout. The only times since the bye, 14 carries, 7 carries in the 28-3 win over the Giants when he was pulled really early. 10 carries, 13 carries, 7 carries in the 34-6 win when he was pulled early against Dallas, and then 10 carries last week against Washington. So, in those games, like since the bye, they have really cranked up. Like they're just it felt like, I guess, I mean, they were letting him. I can't touch it. If you think it's a close game, you can't take the under on Jalen Hurts rushing attempts. Like he need, and plus, like, if he needs it out, you could get real jammed on it as well. So he didn't have any needs in those games either. Goddard over 49.5 receiving yards, minus 110. I probably might prefer receptions for Goddard.
Yeah, I mean, we have to understand we're getting it at the top of the market because of the situation with Devontae Smith. This is something I wish you would have gotten maybe a couple of days ago or even yesterday. I think it's a little too high. I agree. I think receptions is probably the way to go with Goddard.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to
anytime I bet on Goddard, Grant Calcaterra has the best game of his life. Unreal.
Jalen Hurts, 18.5 completions under or 25 rush yards. I don't really understand that one.
No, I don't know what that means.
I think he rushes for more than 25 yards, and I think I wouldn't want to take his completions over. Goddard over 4.5 receptions. We mentioned, we like Goddard. Hurts anytime touchdown, minus 120. Yep, love it. Stafford 2 touchdown passes, minus 104.
It's not bad, right? Like we're talking all about the Eagles' pass defense. It's been fantastic, but yeah, this is going to be the best test they've faced, perhaps. Stafford, veteran QB, on the road, off the. I think it'll be potential regression here, negative regression, and positive regression for the Rams.
Yeah, the only good offense they've played since the bye was Deshaun Watson in the game. They had Deshaun Watson, Danny Dimes. The only good offense they played is the Bengals. Well, and that was without T. Higgins too.
Yes. So they played Washington as well, but I think we kind of found out today. And first of all, Jaden Daniels, obviously, I don't know about today, but certainly was injured over the last few weeks. But I think we found out today that this Washington offense has some issues. I mean, listen, you pretty much got stopped by the Cowboys until late in the fourth quarter there. So there is a very good argument that Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, and company will be probably the toughest test offensively that they've seen for about 6 or 7 weeks.
And honestly, you can dial it back from before the bye, and it's Tampa. It's the NFC South minus Carolina plus the Packers. So, the only team that's I just think, I think this is the best offense they've seen all season, and it may show up, especially with those corners. So sure, I like Stafford 2 touchdown passes. Mm-hmm. Barkley and Kyron 5+ yards each quarter plus 220 on DK. That seems low.
It's not bad, but we get the each quarter always. You get scripted out in one quarter, a long drive, a turnover, a big lead, an injury.
Or you get a rush, or you get somebody blows up a play and Kyron Williams runs for minus 5 yards, and all of a sudden you need 10 from him in a quarter. Like it can go south.
I think the problem with that is the Blake Corum part of this, where Kyron Williams still gets the lion's share, but like Blake Corum does come in and spell him here and there. And if you get 4 or 5 carries from Blake Corum in the second quarter randomly, and Kyron just doesn't get any rushes, you might have a problem there. Those are like the types of bets I think we should generally be staying away from.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of randomness. Hurts anytime touchdown, sprinkle 2 TDs, go for it, Slim. Most receiving yards, AJ Brown minus 105.
So normally I would say yes, because this is a really good find in the sense that you're getting the one alpha on one team and you have 2 alphas on the other team. The problem is that the one alpha on the one team is largely a rushing offense, and the 2 alphas on the other team are largely a passing offense. So it's not like the perfect scenario. I will say this though, I do think these bets need to be looked at a little bit more often, because there's some value here depending on what team is playing.
Brinson, I think didn't you almost hit that Jaylen Warren plus 475? I think you were like 3 yards away from that.
Yeah.
The leading rusher. I think he barely got outgained for that.
Yeah, because Najee was a non-factor in that game. I would agree with this, by the way. Instead of laying a bunch of juice on, if you got to lay a bunch of juice on 6.5, just take the plus money on Cooper Kupp at 8. I think we'll get there. Sorry, there's a bunch that came in after.
I see Philly guy, of course, making a case for his Eagles in the comments. He said, how did the almighty Rams offense do versus the Dolphins? And he's making some cases for them. Right, the Rams barely got by Drake May and the Patriots, who gave him a good game. So, of course, you look at it on paper, and of course, Philadelphia is the better team on paper. But this is a week-to-week league, and it just feels like a sketchy spot. That's all I can say. It feels like the Eagles should be minus 3.5, even on the road.
So, any interest in DeMarcus Robinson over 24.5?
So this is an interesting one. There's not a lot of good ladder opportunities here, but I do kind of like DeMarcus Robinson in a ladder opportunity because he explores all areas of the field. He can certainly get downfield. And one thing I've noticed with him is when he gets targeted like once early, you start to see him pile up receptions in some games, and you start to see him disappear in other games, which is why for me, I don't know that I like this line. I'd rather the 40 plus at plus 190. I mean, the 50 plus is a little aggressive at plus, like it's probably near like plus 300 or 280 or something. But I think 40 plus for DeMarcus Robinson at near plus 200 is an interesting look here.
Sia saying Washington has a few issues. It's like saying I have a few issues with the recreational substances. You're underselling it, bud. Yeah, second half of the season, Cliff Kingsbury is a thing.
That's right.
Mike M points out 40 plus for DeMarcus Robinson plus 185. That's a good look. Okay, just Jahan Dotson questions. Sure.
I was so high on Jahan Dotson this year, like middle of the field targets. What Hurts needed so badly to open up the field, right? He's so boundary heavy. Smith and Brown, Goddard, Dotson's going to open that up. He's been almost nowhere this season, and it hasn't really mattered. But I thought that he would be a featured part of this offense, and he just has not.
I mean, again, like Hurts' completion number is 18.5. So, like, maybe he completes 25 passes, pretty unlikely, but he's probably going to complete around 20 passes. You know, it's just a finite chunk of pie you're going to work with when you're talking about the Eagles, unless the Rams get up big and Hurts is forced to throw a ton. And even then, he's going to run a bunch even on a drop back. So I'd be a little careful there.
Hey, right. I got to give a shout out to Sean Felon, who actually that can't be. Maybe that is how you pronounce your name, Felon, but it's spelled Fellin. Phelan, maybe. Either way, I do like these looks. We talk about this on Early Edge Prime Time a lot. The under 2.5 receptions on DeMarcus Robinson makes a lot of sense. 40 plus, the idea that he can catch two for 40 or 50 yards also makes sense. 10-1. I love this type of stuff. So shout out to I'm feeling Sean.
You could include, if you really wanted to get spicy, AJ Brown in that as well, with like 100 plus and then under. I don't know, whatever it is. Like I would guess like 6.5 or something. Maybe it's higher than that. I guess maybe it's like 7.5 or something. But I mean, just because AJ Brown catches these like long touchdowns or long receptions, and then if the Eagles get a lead and AJ Brown helps get you there with the yardage, maybe he doesn't go over the receptions total if you're so inclined. All right, let's get to our parlays. Mine naturally has way too many legs. And oh crap, let me get shot off the screen here. I'm gonna go Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown score. AJ Brown anytime. I have the under, by the way. AJ Brown anytime touchdown score. Matthew Stafford over 1.5 interception. Saquon Barkley 75 rushing yards. Kyron Williams 50 rushing yards, and Cooper Kupp over 6.5 receptions. 17-1. Now, no bleep, Sherlock. The hard part's the touchdowns, but I think that those two guys are both minus money to score touchdowns. So it's not like we're asking for something crazy like, I don't know, Joe Mixon to score 2 in the first quarter.
I was just going to bring that up. And you cast your last one with the hardest leg hitting instantly. So I'm riding. I mean, what else is there?
My parlays are hot on this show right now. I need to put it in before I forget. Sia, you have a parlay as well.
Yeah, this one's not quite as exciting. I like to spice these up. I genuinely do, or at least be in the plus 500 to plus 1,000 range, but I just couldn't find it here, especially since I do like the under. I'm like, when I take the alt lines and take alt overs, which is all this is where I landed. I do have one play to spice this up to like plus 620, but this is plus 230 over at BetMGM. And if you use their boost, it'll get up to like plus 278, I believe. But we're looking at an alt total, alt under 58.5. Alt spread plus 7.5. Dallas Goedert to just get 25 plus receiving yards. Puka Nacua 50 plus receiving yards. Stafford 200 plus passing yards. And AJ Brown 50 plus passing yards. The way to spice this up, if that's what you want to do, is you either add an AJ Brown anytime touchdown, which I'm not quite as fond of, as the Puka Nacua side of that. So if you add Puka Nacua as an anytime touchdown score, this goes up to like plus 650 with a boost. I'm assuming that gets you past plus 700. So this one is pretty conservative, but look at all these alt lines. Like they're all very conservative. So I think this is very doable at plus 230, plus 280 with a boost.
Yeah, I mean, really, you just have to dodge the Rams getting blown out. And I think that
pretty much
gets there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've all had our first touchdown bet called back before, and BetMGM is giving you a second chance with BetMGM's Pro Football Second Chance. Place any first touchdown score bet. If your player doesn't score first but score second, get your entire stake back in cash. No opt-in required. Here's how it works. Place a pregame straight first touchdown score bet in any NFL game. If your player scores the first touchdown of the game, win your wager as normal. If your player scores the second touchdown of the game, you'll get your stake back in cash. It's that simple. Log into BetMGM for more details. And now, the flagship portion of the program, our Diamond Hands. Who scored the first touchdown? Is it Warren? Is
in the Steelers game?
Yeah. Was that the last show we did? I can't remember anything.
I wasn't on that show, but I can't remember who scored the first touchdown.
I'm on it. Hold on.
It was Nick Chubb. Duh.
Yep, it was.
Yeah, because that's right. I had Chubb. Yeah. All right. Sia, you have diamond hand. You have a diamond above your name.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like.
Oh, look at us! I saw yours and I couldn't get off it. I don't care.
That's fun. Well, you know what's interesting, Will? We got our diamonds on. We were both on Rashad White at plus 1400.
You're right.
Right.
So, listen, I don't go as far afield as Danny does show to show, but I do like to swim in the plus 2,000 to plus 3,000 waters. But when you're giving me Puka Nacua of all people, just like a touchdown machine, or at least like the target with Cooper Kupp for Matt Stafford, I'm not going to look at that and look away. So Puka Nacua plus 1,000. Last time me and Will were on the same one, we hit it. This time when me and Will are on the same one, we're going to hit it again.
Yep. And I would note that was week 9, Monday Night Football, Bucks and Chiefs. And what we had was, it's in Kansas City. Bucks are a big underdog. And so as a result, you get the key skill position guys from that dog up in the 10 plus range. And that's what I want to look for here. You're giving me Puka at 10-1? Are you kidding me? Give me them diamond hands. Let's go see it. Let's make it again. I thought about Cooper Kupp when I saw your Puka, but I think there's just more pathways to Puka being the first scorer than Cooper Kupp. Danny, you're going with a deep shot.
So everyone in the chat, everyone watching right now, I want you to make this L shape on your hand right now. Put it on your head and call Sia and Brinson losers for picking the plus 1,000.
I know.
Puka on the board there, 10-1. They had to take it. I don't blame him. So I'm just kidding, obviously. But to me, that's the equivalent of betting a straight bet at a minus 500. So I'm going 2-2 Atwell plus 4,000. And this is the narrative of the forgotten receiver, the way that Demarcus Robinson has cashed a number of times this season, right? Mm-hmm. When you're so focused on Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, someone else emerges out of the shadows, and Tutu Atwell has been that guy here and there. So it's a long shot, of course, but I'm going to go alternative route, of course. I know you guys were probably expecting a defensive touchdown, but I'm going to go offense. And we all like the sort of contrarian Rams angle. We all took a Rams player. Give me Tutu.
Brasco, right. I'm confused because you were talking up Davis Allen. This is the perfect spot for Davis Allen. He's going to be on the field, and tight ends cash first touchdowns for me all the time. I think you know what? I'm just letting everybody know I'm going to sprinkle on Davis Allen, even though I think he might only catch one ball this entire game.
I will probably tell you, Davis, 25. Here's the deal. If you're giving me Puka and 10-1 on Puka or 25-1 on Davis Allen, that's a no brainer. I'll take Puka all day.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's recap our bets. I know Kevin in the chat asking several times about official plays. Here they are. We are all on the under 49. Danny also on the first half under, and I have Matthew Stafford over a half interception and Cooper Kupp over 6.5 receptions. And Sia, I'm with you. I like the Rams plus 3.
Yeah.
Of course, we have those first touchdown scores, and then you mentioned something. Did you say a prop was
Puka Nacua over 70.5 receiving yards? But honestly, the cool thing about this show, and then listening to the chat as well, it's hard for me to look away. I think the Eagles are good. This is a bad spot. Like Brasco said, I think this is a questionable spot for them. I think there's a lot of reasons to like the plus 3 for the Rams.
All right. I love it.
By the way,
the Eagles could easily cover. The Eagles could win by 15. It wouldn't be surprising. The Eagles are a really good football team. They're rolling. Rams are just a little more desperate at home. Prime time. Matthew Stafford hot right now.
And by the way, they just saw the San Francisco 49ers lose again, and Arizona kind of fall from their perch a little bit, losing to the Seahawks. This Rams team just 2 weeks ago when they lost to the Dolphins, everybody was like, all right, well, I guess that's it. Maybe they should have been sellers at the trade deadline. Like, people were basically writing their obituary, and here they are. They can be basically back on top, or at least near the top, and make another playoff run.
They would be in first because they would be tied for first. Yeah, they'd be three-way tied for first, and then I'm not sure what they have. They don't have the head-to-heads done yet. But
right now they have a win over the Niners and the Seahawks. So that could be huge when it comes down to the tiebreaker scenario. We're going to be watching the Bears and Bucks very closely and their wild card picture. So
the wild card is in play now too. Washington is falling. We don't know how many games they're going to lose. They could get jumped by teams like the Rams as well.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
I should mention that if my guy Jeff Stenberg unsubscribes from SportsLine, it's entirely my fault. He's so sick of my unders, so I will cover that cost to the company. I'm a company man, as you guys know. I'm so sorry, Jeff, but I love pissing Jeff off. It's so much fun. He loves getting at me, so let's keep the rivalry going, my brother.
All right, great show, guys. As always, a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Danny, for Sia, and Brinson, we will see you guys later.